Good evening, my favorite beautiful people. I was supposed to, or at least my intention was, to continue to work on some signs or symptoms that could lead to relapse. But I had one of those days where I probably had at least a half a dozen of those symptoms. And I figured I would just share with you my day, because you're probably out there having good days and bad days as well. And I think my biggest frustration today was when I try to do right by my recovery and what I'm supposed to do. And I'll explain a little better. But everything that I do preach and believe in and stand for and do because I think it's the right thing, it did get me through today, but it didn't make today easier. So I just kind of wanted to go through that. So if you were having one of those days, you know, it's not as easy as like, oh, you're in a bad mood, go for a run. Well, maybe some days it is. And today just wasn't one of those days for me to get out of my funk. And I know there's some significant things, dates this week that are like triggers for me. And I know that was part of my struggle. And I knew that going into the week. And aside from being super jam-packed every single night of the week this week, which I'm super grateful for, I thought it would, well, it's part of my process now anyway, but I thought it would take away or be a little bit more of a distraction than it is. I think that I'm completely a crab ass super psycho bitch today because some of that stuff is eating at me, and that's okay. I'm going to have to just be okay with that. So how I prepared for it was I reached out to my new counselor yesterday, and I told her, hey, there's some dates this week that I'm really struggling with, and I know that I'm going to struggle. Can we, I wanted to be proactive and be on the front side, right? That's what I would tell you to do too, right? If you knew that there was something happening in the week, I would tell you to take proactive steps. So I started my day off. Well, I guess let me back up. I think I talked to you guys at 3 this morning or 4 this morning when I recorded. I woke up and was ready to face the world. And I really did. I kicked ass before 8 o'clock. Everything from doing my brain work to my meditations. We went on a bike ride. And then by 7:45, I was on the phone with the counselor. And of course, she had clarity and perspective. And she's one of those very soothing people. My regular counselor, who I've been working with for 3 years, changed jobs. And the lady I'm working with now leads our Monday night group. But since we've been in quarantine, we haven't had Monday night group, which is to be expected. We haven't had it in person, but there's been online groups, which are cool. But on Monday nights, we had this, it was like family. We had potlucks once a month. We would celebrate Milestone Monday, and you can celebrate whatever you want. It doesn't even have to be time away from a bet. There's people that celebrate not smoking or their AA time, clean time, or I don't know, surviving a day. Like your milestone could be anything you want it to be. And we got to celebrate and just feel good. And she was one of the counselors there. And the theme of it is called Coping Skills. And it's really where I think I found some of my voice and my confidence. We have to. One of the first things we do is, identify ourselves. And instead of the traditional, I'm Bobby, I'm a gambleaholic, or Bobby, I'm a compulsive gambler, it's, you have to say 2 nice qualities about you or 2 positive things. So you're affirming, your good qualities and kind of building up your muscles on that by doing that. And it took a while to get comfortable with that. And some people really still struggle, and we have to feed them answers. And that's okay too, because we can see good things in other people sometimes that they can't see. So anyway, she's amazing, and she just has this she's known about some of the things that really stressed me out from chatting a little on Monday nights before group and stuff. So I talked to her this morning. She was completely, amazing as always. I got some tears out, and we talked about some strategies on how to cope with some of the stuff that's bothering me. So I'm actually gonna write about it, not so much in a journal, but more of a story format, which I had actually began doing before I talked to her, but she loved that idea and she was going to recommend it anyway. So I had my bike ride, had my counseling, and then I go to work. And here's what I'm very frustrated by. My job is not hard to me, or it shouldn't be hard to me, because I know it. I know what to expect. Now it's a busier time of year, so there's the more action, the more potential problems, and it's just been like that leading up to Mother's Day and ever since. And what's happening in my work environment is, now it's a corporation, right? So this is part of what happens. Everybody kind of has a vested interest in everybody else's job, kind of, like you need accounting to help you pay your bills, and you need the trucks to get the product there, and you need the stores to sell the product. And it's just felt very overwhelming that so many people want to have opinions about how to manage my desk so that their jobs are easier, but it's creating so much extra work. It's very frustrating. Mistakes are happening because now they ruined my mojo. Like, I've been working on developing systems and plans to hit my objectives, and now people are changing it, and it's screwing me up, honestly. And like I said, I'm making more mistakes. It's hard. I can't see the information I need to see because of the processes they're making us do. It's horrible, but it's not like the end of the world horrible. I mean, I gotta sit at the freaking computer for 8 or 9 hours anyway. Why not do this junk and miscellaneous clerical bullshit work that doesn't belong on my desk? Why not? I got nothing better to do. So I'm very frustrated with that. And yesterday, there's one man now in the company that he's not a bad guy, and I respect him. I don't necessarily like his style all the time, but it's to where I find myself like shaking when I have to answer his email or his phone call. Like I just know it's not going to be a good experience. It's going to create more work. It's a pain in the ass. It's just sucks. So why am I telling you this? I'm telling you this because I'm guessing you could probably relate. There's people in your life that may have this impact on you. And I would, tell you the things that I believe in, like, don't let it stress you out and be angry for more than 30 seconds, like we talked about, I think, last week. It's how important is it anyway? Does it matter that I'm right or he's right? No. Like, I'm finding my ego and my feelings are getting kind of hurt. So why? Like, it's not going to matter a year from now, 10 years from now, what the hell is happening this week. Like, it's just not going to matter. So why am I letting it bother me so much? That's so part of what I'm doing to cope is telling you about it, which is another, piece of the puzzle. So I had a meeting scheduled, and I had said, hey, I have another call. And of course they called not knowing that I go on a walk at a certain time, whatever. So I never got to have an important conversation I wanted to have. Then my phone, for whatever reason, doesn't ring sometimes. It's wacky. And a lot of the services that I'm using, like my legal services and my accounting services, they're like collective units. It's actually pretty cool. So you get a lot of resources, and it's, a virtual experience that was set up, before COVID. COVID. Well, my phone didn't ring, so I missed a call from the accountant. And I needed to talk to him because of this stupid state audit thing that I know, again, I know that I should be feeling grateful that whatever reason, maybe I'm not supposed to have access to the money right now, or maybe I need to think about things. I basically have to justify No Kiddin', 321 No Kiddin', the podcast and the way I did things, like it cost money to, pay for a service in the background for the podcast, or, there's just things that come at a cost, and I have to justify that I'm a business. Okay, I can live with that too, but I guess I set an expectation that when we went on this call, the accountant, first of all, would be able to help me, and second of all, that he would have prepared. But I'm guessing what they do is, okay, I deal with this client when I talk to them. So he wasn't prepared. Like I literally had to sit there while he was reading the information to catch up on this conversation that I wanted to have. So I felt like my time wasn't respected. Again, how serious is that? Who gives a shit? I'm stuck at home anyway. I'm trying to reframe, which would be another one of strategies that is important to me and how I do things. So not the end of the world. Then my email starts blowing up and problems are caused from the other guy, whatever. And, the best part, I'm sorry. I see an email from my boss who asks me for something. So I work on it for over 2 hours. And as I'm getting ready to send it to her, she decided to make up her own version of my work and send it off to the bosses. So I had wasted 2 hours there too. Yeah. Well, you know what? As I'm talking to you, I think I'm realizing what the problem is. I've felt devalued most of the day, or at least when it came to the work stuff. So I was a little pissy in my email back to her. And then the afternoon, more shit comes in. And instead of being politically correct, now at this point, like I have a headache, I'm like stressed. And again, it's not serious stuff. I need to mentally prepare tomorrow to do a better job dealing with this stuff. It's not about everything that's going on out there. It's about what's going on with me and how I receive these situations. And again, I'm sharing this because there's going to be situations you don't want to deal with either. And how do we arm ourselves with this? And to be honest, if I was a week away from a bet or, like just starting out, I could have seen this all turning into a really not good ending today. I mean, I thought about drinking today. There was that, I'm stressed. It'd be nice to have a drink. No, Bobby. Why would you do that? It's not going to solve anything. It'd make me feel shittier for tomorrow to start off with. So, but those thoughts were creeping in. That's what I'm saying. And I think that because I use my arsenal every day, which is another point that I really try to advocate with you guys, is I know that I can't just go to a bet or go to a drink or go to a negative place that I have to keep. Like I have to work harder at the, meditating or exercising or venting or journaling, whatever that looks like. I need to work harder on that on days like this. And again, this piece of my frustration is I thought I was doing a great job with that. I checked in with my online class. The counselor, the exercise, the meditation, like a lot of positive things I was working on. So it gets later in the day, and when I sent out an email to address one of the problems because people were asking me for answers, that's part of the problem too. I'm responsible for the shit. I have to put out the fires, but I didn't create the problems in the first place. If people listened to me on the front side when I said, no, we shouldn't do it this way because it's going to generate problems. So I'm not feeling validated either. Wow, this really is helping me identify what I'm feeling because I've never been really good at that. And I'm trying, that's one of my things that I'm trying to figure out. is how to identify the feelings. And then again, that Neil episode where he talks about sitting with your feelings for 90 seconds, that things will pass. Now I'm trying to practice that in my life and execute that, which is definitely something to learn. It's not just a gift. That's a lesson I've taken away. So then what happens? So I write an email back, and I actually said shit in the email, and I threw the department that's pissing me off under the bus. It was totally unprofessional. What good did that do? It didn't do any good. I got an answer back from my boss asking me to not act like that, and I shouldn't. I know better. Like, I totally know better. I was having a freaking temper tantrum, an adult corporate America temper tantrum, and I don't know why I'm letting this stuff get to me so bad. Like, I just don't have a good reason at all. So I end up, I had reached out to one of my girlfriends and said, do you want to go for a walk tonight before I have class? But by the time the afternoon came around, the headache got worse. I went and I laid down around 4:30, and when I got up, there was a text from my boss asking if I would call her. It's not work related, she said. And I just didn't care. I didn't want to talk. I'm not in the mood to deal with people. Like, I was literally screaming. She said to me today, she goes, "What are you going to do when you go back to the office and you can't yell like this?" Like, how obnoxious is that? I shouldn't be acting that way. I know that. See, and somebody, I don't know if it was in the alcohol recovery group or what, but talking about like the compounding feelings. So like now as I'm reflecting, it makes me mad that I was that mad. I need to not do that too. Wow, I'm really, really, really flawed. I don't know if you guys knew that or not, but I'm flawed. Well, as because I had laid down, I woke up, I went to go look at my phone. So I see this text from her. I text her back saying I don't really want to talk. And in the meanwhile, I look at Facebook, and there's a post about somebody that we've worked with in the floral industry for a lot of years, who he's just been amazing. I think I've known him about 15 years, and he's probably one of the most talented designers in the world. But in addition, he just had this lively personality. He was amazing at all the trade shows. And he died of COVID. And that's what my boss was calling to tell me. And like I said, I discovered it on Facebook. Like, my problems aren't that big, His partner had died within the last year. So there was a lot of, now he could be with his partner. And yeah, there's a little piece to that because they were together for like 40 years. But there's still like just a big loss. And it's just two things happen. I got reminded of how unimportant my little shit, all that stuff I just said to you was. And then being reminded of the situation that we're in. It sucks. Like, even with all the tools, it's just getting freaking old. Like, this whole year has been nothing but loss and death in my universe. And how long do I have to keep a game face on? Or when am I entitled to grieve? Because I don't know that I've done such a good job at that. Maybe I have. I don't know. It just, even if I, like, get past one, there's just another thing happening right after. And that's life, right? Like, that's why I'm telling you, because it's just going to be like that. But I didn't gamble today. I didn't drink today. I didn't buy a cigarette or a cigar today. So there's that. And I can't discount that because those are milestones too, like the milestone Mondays. Wow. Sorry. I I'm giving myself another headache because I'm trying not to bawl my eyes out. So that's, just so sad. The other thing that happened when I woke up this morning, there was a message from like one of my icons, like a Zumba man who I took training from him, and I was fortunate enough to go to his classes while I was out in Kansas City. And I'm happy to call him my friend. And he's like, he had sent me a message last night, call me. So I finally got in touch with him this afternoon, and he needed some floral advice, which I kind of figured it would be something like that. Well, we ended up just having an amazing catch-up conversation. And I don't want that blessing lost on the way the day was, because it was a gift to catch up, to hear about his dreams and where he's at. And, I told him kind of where I'm at, and we were just like very aligned on a great level today. It was just awesome. So, that was very positive, and I'm grateful for that. And then my last hour before coming to visit you now was I'm participating in, so when I went to Asia, there's Paul, and you guys met Paul on, I think, my second or third episode. He was my first interview, and he's a big inspiration to me of why I do the show. I wanted to bring to the gambling community what he brings to the community of folks that want to be away from alcohol. I've really, he's a great example, and he's doing a 6-week class to help the people in his community. There's private, like Facebook rooms that we pay to be a part of, and they're secret. You can only be seen if you're in it, and they keep them at under 300 people so that it could be like just the right. He actually talked about the stats, I think, on one of his podcasts or something, where essentially there's some science to the number of people so that it's community enough where there's enough voices and camaraderie to be supportive, but not so big that people don't know each other. So there's kind of some intimacy. And he's done that since before I met him. And I just joined after coming back from Asia. I just joined. I wanted to see what it was about. And I'm enjoying it. The people are amazing. I attended a lot more things the last couple weeks. So I'm getting to know a little bit more of the faces other than just who I was in Asia with. So the class started tonight, and these are ideas that, maybe I can be like him in our community, like how I'm trying to be like him with the podcast. I mean, not like him. I actually get a little quirky about, I don't want to be so much like him, even though he wouldn't have a problem with that. His heart is so big. He's like, Bobby, I don't care. Like, just keep doing what you're doing. People need help. The more soldiers that are fighting this war, the better. He's not ego driven or anything like that. So I know he wouldn't be offended, even if I duplicated everything he did, probably. Excuse me. So yeah, it was his first webinar, and it was a nice meeting. I love the foundation, and I'm, again, grateful. I see, and my body chemistry just changes when I say the word grateful and feel it. It like diminishes some of that bad shit today. But I'm so grateful for him and his community and the things I learned from him and from, this group of people. And we're put into little groups as part of this. So I'm going to meet some more new people. And, there was some good stuff today too. And I guess that could be the other, trigger. I don't know. Well, Gamblers Anonymous, one of the questions is, have you ever gambled to celebrate good fortune or something to that effect? So I could be grateful and be thinking about gambling, drinking, whatever, like, oh, I had a good class. I mean, it would be really bad if I took an alcohol-free class and then went out and drank. But the moral of the story is it's any excuse to use. That's what these addictions do, or that's how our brains are programmed. So I'm going to keep working on my healthy muscles, my exercise muscles, and my meditation muscles, and my positive reinforcement muscles, and try to change my attitude a little for tomorrow, or a lot. And that was a real day in the life of Bobby. And, tomorrow's the biggest. Tomorrow and Saturday are going to be the 2 days that impact me the most. And if I'm already this wound up and tomorrow didn't even happen, it just blows me away that I could be this emotional still. Okay. I hope you don't mind me sharing my heart with you tonight in this way. I needed to talk. I needed to be accountable. And I needed to process my feelings. So I guess we'll continue to our regular scheduled programming with symptoms of relapse. I had a whole bunch of symptoms today, right? Like the pity party and the frustration and the anger and the sadness. It ain't easy, people. It just ain't easy. You can do it. All right. Have a good evening, beautiful people.